the thing that we all really probably knew anyway is that doctors get at least 1/5 of their salary topped up by giving you medication. It seems pharmaceutical companies, or whether it's them, the NHS or whatever, give them incentives to get you on some form of medication or other. Well, shock horror. How many times has somebody gone to the doctor saying, I've got this, and they went, you need antidepressants? No, I don't. I'm not depressed. Oh no, they've got multiple functions. Not for what I have. And then when you actually look them up, it's just they want you on drugs. No, this is not every case. I mean, beta blockers, stuff like that, people need them, okay. Stuff to keep the blood thin, to stop them having blood clots. I get that. All of these things are important. Stuff for asthma, stuff for diabetes. I get that, so I'm not knocking that. But I'm talking about all the other drugs and the people that actually don't need drugs for what's wrong with them. They need maybe something else, or maybe they don't. And I'm going to show a link or a picture somewhere up here, right, of the tweet I got it from, which also shows you a link somewhere around here of the book where the person goes into it. But I have always wondered why it was that the doctors were so aggressive about forcing, Jesus Christ, forcing medication on you. I was on medication myself for, what was it, antidepressants from about 2003 until about a year and a half ago, maybe longer. And whenever I said that I wanted more, they didn't bat an eyelid, just cracked on, gave you, that was it. I always thought it was a little bit too easy, do you know what I mean? And I'd come off them for a short while, and literally, I'd just phone up the doctor and say, I'm struggling, I need to go back on them. Yeah, no problem, no questions asked, no come in and talk to me, none of that, just crack on, away you go. They always want me to go to the asthma clinic so that I can have a, I don't know, whatever it is they wanted to do, they wanted to keep me on the asthma things. I've lived most of my life without using those pumps. Now, I know I sound a little bit like Darth Vader, but you tell me how well those people, some of them, now I'm not talking about all, when I say this is some of them who take the sprays don't sound any better than me, all right? And one of those that, I had the lung butter the other day, the green, the breathing and all the rest of it. I got asthma, and he goes, oh, well, you need antibiotics. No, I fucking don't. Antibiotics for me are a last case. When you can't do it naturally. I don't like them. I don't like putting medication. Some people go, oh, you got no problem putting alcohol in you. I choose to put that in me because I like getting pissed occasionally, all right? But generally, I don't think very much of that in me. And if you have a look through, you can actually find out every little bit of what went into making that alcohol. Okay, I don't understand the first thing about drugs, nor do I want them. And it's funny because when you look around just into the 1900s at some point, the Rockefeller Company got into, because they had a massive share in petroleum. Petroleum is a massive input into the making of medication. I don't know how, but it is, right? And they decided that there was a huge market to basically make a lot of money out of. So what they did then was started to help in the funding of looking into how to make medications to cure people of this, that and the other. And then what they also did was they paid a massive advertising campaign and got the doctors on board and everybody else to belittle the original techniques that, from my understanding, worked for years. The natural remedies that you could find growing in the hedgerows, funnily enough, or out in the fields, or in the trees, or whatever. There are books out there, by the way, that I think one of them was even called Hedgerow Medications, and it tells you if you add this and this together, what you end up with is something that treats this. Now, if I go and talk too much about that part, this will get not just demonetized, it will get probably pulled, because they don't want you to do that. But I used to wonder, and I wondered for a long time in my life, I'm going to get past this truck. Probably not. I wondered for a long period in my life how it was that without medication, because I've been indoctrinated like the next person, that the generations prior to us lived so long, because we were told that they didn't live so long in the old days, and some of them didn't. They were worked to death. This isn't happening. I'm going to Berlin, sitting out in the middle lane trying to get past a truck for the rest of my fucking life. Go on, off you go. So I thought that without medication, the way we've been indoctrinated is that it's modern healthcare that's kept people alive. And yet, you look at history and heavy people live to a ripe old age. Now, there was a lot that went into that. They probably had good DNA, they probably had a healthy lifestyle, they probably didn't work down a pit for a kick-off, or in a factory or something where they'd be breathing in crap all the time. They may well have been out in the country and not in a city where smog was a problem. Many factors, but people did still live there and live longer. And you could go back further. So it's funny how the system itself has changed the way that we look back at history so that it favours our way to think their way. That makes sense. When I grew up, I thought that this was this and that was that because that was what I was taught. And now I've been through the stage of realising that actually that wasn't true. And then you had to get to the point that why wasn't it true? Why did I have to be lied to? Who would gain? And when you get to the point that who would gain, it always goes back to the control of the stupid people, that's us, right? And getting the stupid people to be the best purchasers of our gear. Now they bring you up to be a consumer no matter what, and they tell you that if you haven't managed to attain this amount of wealth, these cars, that house, that job, you're a failure. But they also get you to buy all the latest fads. You know that. The latest cars. We've all got to go electric. Fuck that, right? And then they've also got to tell you to trust in pharma. I don't know if you remember the American adverts in the 70s and the 80s. They were aggressive as you like. I mean, they were getting women on all sorts of stuff. You know, the housewife. In the 60s, they had the housewives off their fucking face on God knows what. I mean, I think it'd be a Class A truck now, but they were running around with the Hoover and the duster on, I think, Valuable, whatever it was, right off their tits. They had a great time. And of course, it was all right because the doctor had prescribed it. Of course, the husband comes home and sees the woman off her head. You're like, what the fuck goes on here? You can't question it. It's the doctor. But there it is. So, what we all probably thought has pretty much been confirmed that the reason they want to get us. And by the way, this study doesn't take into account anything to do with the vaccines, as far as I can understand, or what the person says. This is genuine run-of-the-mill medication, and it goes under the guise of stopping diseases, therefore helping the NHS. But we know that for every one of those things that go in your arm, can't mention them, that there was a kickback to whoever administered them. Quite a kickback, which is really why that our surgery, I don't know about yours, you couldn't get in, not a chance. And you had this aggressive bulldog on the phone that wouldn't either answer your calls or basically wanted to know every last facet of your problem. And if your arm wasn't hanging off or you weren't bleeding to death, you ain't seeing that doctor. And they got rewarded for that because the doctor was too busy getting £30 or £20 or £15 a shot to do the other things that we can't talk about. It's absolutely fucking amazing. We're all sat here. I realised I look like I've got a mask on. Well, that's probably not a bad thing. But yeah, just everything I thought. You know these sneaking suspicions that you have years ago? And as you go forward, they're more than suspicions. And then they become, for you, concrete beliefs. Not that you wouldn't get evidence to the contrary. In my case, if I get evidence that goes against what I believe, but it's concrete evidence, then I'll change. Because if it's real, and I have to make sure as much as I can that it's real, then I can admit that when I'm wrong. When you grow up thinking, after a while, they're not for our good. They're money-making bastards. Yeah, I've got theories about dentists as well, but I'm going to go work on that a bit before I go spill that one out. But there it is. So, they're profit-driven. And that's the other thing as well. A patient cured is a customer lost. I've heard that said a few times. And you have to say it's probably true. You think about if they're getting this commission of having you on tablets, and if you came into their surgery and they actually treated you appropriately and got you the right care that you needed so that you could get better, well, they've just lost their commission. Now, go against the oath that they took. This should also go against the humanity that a human should have for another human being. That is to say that if it's within your means or your capacity or your ability to be able to take somebody's suffering and misery away and get them better, then that should be your primary function as a human being. And if your function as a human being is corrupted to an extent that you want to keep that person ill because you're making money off it, then there is a word for that. It's called evil. There you go. Incidentally, I said it in the video yesterday, I'm going to look into the ability to be able to live stream. Obviously it has to go out live when I'm parked up, and I don't touch it until the moment I become parked up again. So I'd be like this. I'm looking into it. I don't know how capable it is, because this is one of the noisier trucks. It's got one of those things across the top of the windscreen. It's like a windshield, and it's like driving for a fucking hurricane. It really is shit. But well, there you are. And yeah, this is the only time of the day between 7 and 7:30 that I actually feel like a human being. After that, with all the noise, the racket, and the getting thrown around, the beat up, you start to become slightly more, not punch drunk, but just beaten up, not with it as much. But there you go. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I shall edit this when I get parked up, and then chuck it out when I can. And I'll see you in a bit.